Couple of weeks removed from your last fight, Kyle. Can I ask, how are things doing and how are you feeling at the present moment?
Feeling good, recovering well, picking up the training again. Just trying to stay busy and continue sharpening my skills and looking forward to the future.
Superb. And if we touch on 2020 a little bit, just quickly, you had 2 fights cancelled in that year against Jonathan Gary and Tim Teeves. Can I ask, how difficult was that to have 2 fights fall out? Back to back.
Yeah, actually, I think it was 4. I forget the other opponents and names, to be honest with you. There's so many guys. Well, actually 2 cards got pushed up.
Yeah.
And I think it was 3 opponents fell through. But training for that year, I mean, being in a camp, trying not to overtrain and get hurt was difficult, but I felt like I managed it well. Overall, I felt like it helped me out in every asset because every guy was different.
Yeah.
Tim Teeves, was a big guy, 5'10", a lot of muscle, like to throw power shots. I was going to fight a 5'7" Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt kid, so just kept getting swapped, and then ended up fighting Caio Uruguai, who was a kickboxer, black belt as well, but funkier style. So I had a game plan for a lot of different styles that they were going to present, and able to train for each one specifically was helped my game overall. So, even though it was a long year, fights kept falling through. It was tough, but it kept me hungry, and I finally got the fight that I wanted, and it went well.
Is there any extra worry preparing for a fight in this scenario? If you like, that in the back of your mind, there is a reasonably decent chance it mightn't come off.
Yeah, especially this day and age right now. I mean, it's tough to put all your eggs in one basket in hopes that the fight's going to pan out. But there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
So I stay ready. I know I'm always going to show up. It's either the promotion or positive COVID test or opponent gets hurt. But yeah, to put your eggs all in one basket in hopes of that you're going to train hard and he's going to show up and everything aligns correct and the fight goes the way you want it. Like, it's difficult, but it's the fight game. Nothing's guaranteed. Always sharpening your skill set and just hopefully everything works out.
Yeah. And let's talk about the fight that did come off. So in January, you fought and beat Caio Uruguai by unanimous decision. Can I ask, what was the game plan going into the fight?
Didn't game plan a whole lot. Like I said, I game planned for like 4 guys that year.
Yeah.
So I was pretty confident in my skill set, my conditioning. My eye was trained. I just had to get there in front of someone. What we did game plan a little bit was I knew he was a kicker, right? So I knew he was going to want to chop that leg, and I knew he was going to want to throw head kicks. I didn't do too great in the first round of blocking those, but I ended up finding my groove in the second and third round.
Yeah, superb. And that was your first fight out of the UFC since 2016. Yeah. Can I ask, what was the difference in preparation, in fight week, and all of them things, fighting in a slightly smaller promotion?
Yeah, so it was about a year and a half off.
Yeah.
Since I was released from the UFC. And then COVID hit. I was trying to fight that April. COVID hit. CES got canceled. I was looking at Tora. They got canceled. Finally found X MMA. X MMA was great. One of the best promotions, hand down. They treat you well. But overall, fight week, everything is. I've been there before. It was nothing new. I knew I had my objective and I had an opponent in front of me. I just had to do what I do, make weight, go in there. I didn't try to overthink anything. I just wanted to go in there, let it fly and have fun. I love martial arts. I love training. I decided when I was released from the UFC, I was 33. I'm still young. I don't have a lot of miles in my body. I started this late. I was like 24, 25 when I started. So I had no rounds on me.
Yeah.
I love martial arts. I'm going to train. I'm going to train hard. I'm going to compete with the best of them. I was doing jiu-jitsu tournaments, IBJJF. I took gold and brown belt. I was just having fun. So when they told me to sign the dotted line for X MMA, it's just another challenge that I wanted to do. I'm not overthinking it. If I get the UFC, I get to the UFC. If not, I'm just having fun. I'm training and competing while I can and while I'm young.
And have you always been in that mindset, or is that something that you have maybe matured into recently?
Yeah. So a little before, I was always thinking about so much of the future. I was never living in the moment and enjoying the present, right? I was always thinking ahead, and I was missing what was in front of me. I was missing those finer details. I was always skipping, overthinking. Now I'm just enjoying the process, enjoying training. Head coach Sean Clark, we're still working things I brought up with jiu-jitsu, meeting Jake over at Hard Knocks. So I'm still brushing up my skill set, sharpening my tools, and I love martial arts. I love jiu-jitsu, and I love striking, and I love fighting. So I think that's just maturity in me as a fighter and as a person and as a mixed martial artist as a whole.
Is there a little bit, as you mentioned, you were quite old when you got into it. Not an old man, but you were, in terms of the game, quite old.
Not an old man.
Not the first time you've ever been called an old man, Kyle.
No. I was an old man when I started. To these like new age kids, they're veterans at 24, but nowadays. So yeah. But I was always a gifted athlete, and I had a trouble pass, and I went to Broadway Jiu-Jitsu in hopes of just finding something to keep me on the straight and narrow. And Jiu-Jitsu did it. I loved Jiu-Jitsu. I loved competing. I loved doing tournaments. And then he was a fighter at once, so he saw talent in me, my head coach Sean Clark, and that's how it kind of took off. He kind of took me on his wing, molded me. I took a couple, got 6-0 real quick, got a short notice fight versus Charles Rose in the Garden. I would think it was only 6 professional fights, but I mean, I was learning the trade on the job. I was fighting the cream of the crop on the job. I never had an easy fight. And I take pride in that. It was a shame that I was let go a little early. Only if they would have waited a couple more months. When the pandemic hit, I still would have been there right now, and I would have had a year layoff and gotten better. But my skills are all coming together right now. My experience, my skill set, everything's meshing. My maturity. So I'm excited for the future. Like I'll be very happy if I get back to UFC. That's the ultimate goal. But right now, I'm enjoying the process. I'm enjoying myself as a mixed martial artist. I'm enjoying competing. I'm enjoying finally seeing martial arts as a whole and blending things up. So it feels good. And
if we just move back a little bit to the recent fight, this was your first win since 2018. What did that feeling like? What was that feeling like to get back in the win column?
I don't know. If it's strange that the win felt good, but it felt like I could have done better. To me, I feel like I belong in a higher level. So the win felt good for about 10 seconds, and then it was on to the next. It's like, what can I do now? But being back in the win column after 3 consecutive losses, it feels good. I mean, those 3 losses sucked, but I never lost faith in myself. So I knew I could beat all those guys 9 out of 10 times. And, I just, for whatever reason, didn't go the way it should have, or how I dreamt it or hoped for. So getting the W felt good. But in my mind, I belong in the UFC, and I belong fighting higher caliber guys. Not to take anything away from Caio Uruguai. He was good, and he did shock me. His kicks came up really quick. He was tough. He was durable. If his cardio was a little bit better, I think it would have been even more of an epic fight. But I think I belong on the next level. And the win felt good, but then it was quickly on to the next.
If we move a little bit from present to future, we've obviously mentioned that you said your ultimate goal is to get back to the UFC. Would you entertain going to other promotions, maybe playing your trade at the likes of a Bellator, a PFL, or One Championship, or is your focus on getting back to a second run in the UFC?
It's a good question. I haven't thought about it too much. I would ultimately love to be back in the UFC just because of the market, and everybody knows the UFC. For the next chapter of my life, I want to open up a gym or something like that. It's a lot easier. But me, as a fighter, I don't give a shit where I fight. Like I'll fight anywhere. I'll fight in the backyard. I'll fight for CS, Bellator, One, Ryzen, Titan FC, Legacy. I'll fight for them all. It's just as a standpoint, the highest caliber guys are fighting in the UFC, and that's the most recognized promotion in the world. So therefore, I want to fight in the UFC. But as a fighter, I just want to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a lot of casual fans who believe UFC equals MMA, when in totality, UFC is a sub-branch of
100%. That's so UFC. Yeah, exactly. You said it perfect.
Yeah. Even if we talk very briefly, if you're happy to, about that 3-fight skid you had in the UFC, they were against top guys. You know, I think if memory serves, it was a split decision against Hakeem Dawodu, who's now getting up there. Decision win to the monster at the time that was Zabit. You know, I think they were all decision losses. They were close competitive fights.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were all very close competitive fights. I could have done a lot of things differently in those fights. You know, I wasn't digging the body versus Zabit. I wasn't level changing. I wasn't calf kicking. There was a lot of things I could have done different for Zabit. Hakeem, I didn't use my head movement enough. I didn't bite down, close the distance, use my angles. Charles Woodson, he's just 8 feet tall. Those knees were coming out of nowhere. And I didn't chain wrestle versus him. So I know the things I needed to work on. And I'm sharpening all those things right now. You know, those were tough pills to swallow because they were all very good. And I wanted to beat those guys. But ultimately, I beat myself. I don't take it that they beat me. I beat myself. I wasn't doing the things I was doing in camp. I wasn't listening to my coach. So those are all things that we're working on right now.
Superb. Now, I couldn't have you on today without talking about the Zabit Magomedsharipov fight.
Yeah.
Because it probably was, I would argue, your biggest fight in terms of viewership, and probably the one where you became a little bit of an overnight star. Is that fair to say?
Fair to say.
Because there's obviously that viral clip, isn't there, where you walk towards him. I think Zabit is struggling there a little bit, and you put your tongue out, and then you just. Can I ask, if we look at the future, if we look at Zabit's future matchups, he obviously finished Brandon Davis after your fight, and then he had decision wins over Jeremy Stevens and Calvin Kattar, in which he won the first 2 rounds and lost the third, exactly the same as your fight.
Yep.
Can I ask, were you the man that wrote the blueprint on how to give Zabit trouble?
Unintentionally, yes. Yes. Just move forward. Eventually, he's going to gas out. Stuff his takedowns. Be patient. Look to pick it up in the second round and finish strong in the third. And I mean, his cardio suspect. His cardio is suspect. I mean, he controls the range very well. He's slick, but he loses steam quickly. So yeah, I think I took the blueprint, laid it out there for these guys. They just kept their head off the center line, kept moving forward, countering his kicks, countering his punches, press him against the fence, and eventually he starts to wilt. He takes a deep breath, looks at that clock, and you know you got him.
You were the man who probably put that little chink in his armor, weren't you? Because before that fight, that was when he was viral, this viral Russian guy who looked a bit like Abraham Lincoln, who people thought was unbeatable, and you showed that he was human, didn't you?
And then people go, oh, he is human. I can do that. And then he second guesses himself. Like, he doesn't want to enter those deep waters again. So, you know, it's tough.
Did we maybe see that when he wouldn't accept the 5 rounds against Calvin?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. They were pushing for 5 rounds.
Yeah.
And they should have. Like, when he was going to fight in Moscow, I think it was going to be 5 rounds. And then they went back to the States and they wanted 3 rounds. It's like, because they knew this cardio suspect, and Calvin's got bombs. And he doesn't lose steam. Yeah. So, yeah.
Superb.
Should have been 5 rounds. Yeah.
And if we just turn the conversation back to you for this final question, obviously we're early in the year, we're early in 2021, and as we've discussed, 2020 wasn't the best year for yourself with fight cancellations and such. You've got yourself back in the win column, and you've got yourself a little bit more momentum. What other goals do you have in mind for 2021? What are you looking to accomplish?
I'm healthy, so I want to keep this the ball rolling, keep the momentum going. I would like to fight in May or end of April, get an impressive victory, keep my name in matchmakers' ears for short notice fights. But I want to fight as much as I can this year. Fight in May, July, keep going until I get back, you know? So I'm healthy right now. That last year actually did me good. Really, really sharpened all my tools. My game is very different. I got to let everything heal. So I feel good right now. And I just want to keep the ball rolling. Fight in May, fight every 2 to 3 months until I get to the next level, and then see what goes from there.
Mentioning then about injuries, healing and such, I've had a few fighters come on. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but I've said that 2020 was in some ways a blessing in disguise because they got to sharpen their skills and because they got to alleviate some injuries. Is that fair to say with yourself?
Yeah, definitely. Even though I was in a camp for a year, but yeah, definitely. Like little things, like little nagging injuries got to heal up. And in between those peaking phases for fights, when I knew a fight fell through, I was able to take the pedal off the gas, pump the brakes a little bit. Little TLC, massages, physical therapy, stuff like that. Let the body heal, pick it back up. So I was constantly on going up, down, maintaining, up, down, maintaining. So I think I did it pretty well. 2020 was a blessing in disguise for all fighters as well. I know it was tough, people nipping at the bit to get back in there, but I mean, if they took advantage of the time that they had, they should be coming back stronger and better than they were.
Yeah, superb. And I'm sure you're hoping to do that with the rest of the year.
Yes, sir.
Kyle, it was great to have you on today, and I hope that your 2021 ends in a similar fashion to how your 2021 started.
I appreciate that, brother.
Superb. Before we finish, how can people find you on social media?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at Kyle Bochniak UFC. I've been trying to change that forever now. I can't figure out how to do it. I've been messaging Instagram. You can follow me at Facebook at Kyle Bochniak as well. So shoot me a follow. I'll give you a follow back. Let's go.
Superb. And before we finish, is there anything you would like to say or sign off with at all?
Oh, that's it, brother. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure talking to you. Another one of the Boston boys checked off my list.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for talking to me today, Kyle.
You got it, brother.